Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski, and today I wanted to make a video doing a little bit of an overview covering every Pokeball in Pokemon. I've been seeing a lot of questions and a little bit of misinformation, accidental misinformation. It's really easy to do, especially with how many changes have happened to different Pokeballs over the past year or so in Pokemon. We saw more updates in general and more balancing changes to Pokemon, especially on the Pokeballs, than ever before within the decade history of Pokemon. So today I wanted to kind of go through each Pokeball individually, talk about their best use at different locations, and sort of show off how there really isn't one best Pokeball in PokeMMO. They've done a really good job of balancing everything in a ton of ways, where most Pokeballs have at least one really niche or really good solid use, and we'll talk about that. Now, I'm standing here in this location today because right here in this bottom left, this little merchant right here, he sells most of the Pokeballs in the game, at least all the specialty ones. I don't think he stocks Pokeballs, Great Balls, or Ultra Balls, but those are easy to get anywhere. Now, this is the shopping mall in Unova. It's to the west of Oplucid City. You can always come over here. It's on Route 9. Just go north, and you'll find this place. You can buy most of the nice Pokeballs here. But let's go ahead and start talking about them. Now, the classic Pokeball, the Pokeball itself, this is a great Pokeball for tons of low-level, consistent catching. I use them for catch events most of the time. If you're just false swiping and sporing and throwing Pokeballs, most Pokemon will catch extremely well in this. Now, if you're doing something more difficult like alphas, or just catching like a very difficult Pokemon to catch like Dittos or Rotoms, you might want to use something better, and we'll get to that. But this is your bread and butter. Pokeball itself is probably still my most used Pokeball in PokeMMO. It's very, very good. It's also really important for breeding. If you're doing egg breeding or just want to breed for profit, you still have to put your Pokemon that you breed in a Pokeball. So it's always really important to have tons of Pokeballs on you. I usually try to have around 600 to 1,000. Especially for breeding, because it's a huge mistake to start your breeding hour and then having to go buy more Pokeballs. You need at least like 360 or 400 Pokeballs before doing 1 hour of breeding for a shiny. But that's a little advanced. Let's go ahead and jump over to the next ball, Great Ball. Great Ball is really decent. It's a decent middle ground for some of those higher level Pokemon, of course. Great Ball is especially good. People make arguments for it for catching Ditto, which I think is super. There's two Pokeballs that come to mind when it comes to catching Ditto. Great Ball is one of them, the other being Dust Ball, and we'll get to that in a second. Great Balls cost 600 Pokeyen, have a 1.5 times catch rate. That's important. So they're 3 times the cost of the Pokeball, and have a 0.5 times catch rate higher, which can be really relevant. Ultra Ball, double the cost of Great Ball, being 1,200 Pokeyen, and has a 2 times catch rate. It's also really important to learn all these catch rates, because we'll be comparing the Pokeballs in which situations to use sort of there on out. These are sort of the basic ones, of course: Pokeball, Great Ball, Ultra Ball. Now, Ultra Ball is the best usually for catching Pokemon to get them in your Pokedex, and then once you have them in your Pokedex for the first time, you can log them in your Pokedex. Then you can use repeat balls, and we'll get to that in a quick sec. Dive balls actually have a really good niche where you can use these on water Pokemon, especially underwater Pokemon, obviously, as it mentions. These can be really good on certain Pokemon. I believe Whalmer might have the effect, but having a 2.5 times catch rate is super nice. Now, Dive Balls do cost 1,500 Pokeyen each, which is the same as Repeat Balls while packing the same catch rate. So, in my opinion, Dive Balls are really, really niche, because you're probably only using Dive Balls. Either A, if you've bought them for cheaper on the GTL, you are able to get some of these balls cheaper sometimes on the GTL, which is really important to talk about. See, that's a great, here we go. Dive Balls, $850 or so on the GTL. You don't have to buy all of these Pokeballs at the Pokemarts. Sometimes it's cheaper to get them from the GTL because they either come into the game through other means. For example, Dive Balls come into the game through pickup payday farming at Dragon Spiral Tower. So always double check your Pokeball prices. Check their in-game price at the markets and check their price on the GTL. Most of the most used Pokeballs will end up sticking around their Pokemart price, such as the Dust Ball. The Dust Ball, one of the most important Pokeballs in PokeMMO. 1,350 cost, 2.5 times catch rate if the Pokemon is in a cave or if it's nighttime. This is really important. The Dust Ball, there's 2 modes for Dust Ball. You're either catching the Pokemon at a 1 times catch rate or a 2.5 times. There's no scale in between. A Dust Ball will never have a 2.0 times catch rate. Someone was trying to argue with that to me recently in a stream, and I had to talk to them about it. It's never going to be an in-between number. It's not a scale. It's you're either have a 1 point times catch rate or 2.5 times. Very important to know. Dusk Ball is, in my opinion, the best Pokeball in the game for Ditto. However, there are some sort of conversations and argumentations back and forth between Dusk Ball and Great Ball. Hopefully one day I'll be able to do a long-term test. Now, we move on to probably the worst ball in the game, Heal Ball. There's not really a use for this. It has the same catch rate as Pokeball, yet it costs 500 Pokeyen per, which is, almost the cost of a Great Ball. Its effect is that it heals a Pokemon's HP and eliminates status upon catching. This could maybe be useful during a storyline run if you're far from a PC and want to catch a new Pokemon and then use it in your next upcoming rival battle or something. It's not that good. Moving on. I don't want to waste time on it. Luxury Ball. Luxury Ball is a really cool Pokeball because it looks awesome. That's it. It's not that useful. It does have actually a really important effect. It increases the friendliness gain. So using Luxury Balls on bred Pokemon for things like Togepi, things like Riolu, can be worth it. It's kind of expensive. 1,000 Pokeyen per ball can be kind of a lot. Usually they're cheaper on the GTL if I'm not mistaken. I want to say Luxury Balls consistently go for around 600 or so on the GTL. Yep, there we go. We can find them for around 500 or so. It's also really important to note that if you ever see someone selling luxury balls, or any ball for that matter, for less than the sell price, you can just go ahead and buy them, sell them to a Pokemart, and make money. So for example, never list luxury balls like this for 500 Pokeyen. There's no you should just sell these to a Pokemart if you're going to sell them for this price, because this person took a listing fee to list them on the GTL, and now they're also going to make the same exact amount of money if they were to just sell them to a Pokemart. Just sell them to a Pokemart. A lot of items are like that in PokeMMO, where it's just worth to sell them to a Pokemart. Don't waste your time and your money trying to sell them on the GTL. Luxury balls are pretty niche, have a little niche benefit of the friendship growing faster. I can show you guys a little happiness stat is really important for evolving certain Pokemon. Other than that, just the coolest looking ball in Pokemon, objectively, clearly. Moving on to the Nest Ball. The Nest Ball is a very niche one, and probably one that I understand the least. So I actually don't want to talk about this one too much, because I'm not super informed on this one. I haven't done too much testing with it. I know it's really good on, it says quote unquote weaker Pokemon in the wild. From my understanding, that usually means low level bug types. I feel like Pokeball is usually the way to go. However, sometimes you might be able to skip the false swipe and spore and just go straight for Nest Ball if you want to save some time. However, the price difference of 1,200 Pokeyen per versus 200 per for Pokeball, I feel like Nest Balls are kind of good to be left to their own. If you want to use them, if you want to test them, go for it. I don't know a niche for them. Maybe someone knows better in the comments down below. Always give feedback and let me know, guys. Okay, Netball. Netball works good on water and bug type Pokemon, which is actually pretty nice to have that kind of dual type. 1,500 Pokeyen though for a 2.5 times catch rate, similar to the Dive Ball, where if you have the Repeat Ball and you have the Pokemon in your Pokedex, just use the Repeat Ball. But it could be used. The Dive Ball and Netball are both really good at getting Pokemon for Pokedex entries, and they have a slightly better catch rate than the Ultra Ball, which is pretty relevant. But once again, once you get it in your Pokedex, you kind of just use Repeat Balls from there on out. But still a decent niche. Premier Balls. Premier Balls actually have a really important use that people forget. They have a base 1.5 times catch rate, making them very comparable to Great Balls. So if you ever see Premier Balls on the GTL for cheap, less than 600 Pokeyen or so, they essentially act, there we can actually see some now. These essentially act as cheaper Great Balls if you're able to find them for a good price. Now, Premier Balls come into the game through Xmas presents, goodie bags, all sorts of sealed product. So their price can vary rapidly from 500 Pokeyen all the way up to 5 or 10K. They've been all over the place at different times throughout the history of Pokemon, but definitely keep an eye on them. You might be able to pick up some decent, cheap Great Ball alternatives. Now, Quick Ball has been buffed over the past year or so, and quickly has become a really good option for a lot of things. People were using Quick Ball on the first turn. You have to use it on the first turn. Quick Ball becomes pretty much worthless after the first turn, but on the first turn, it can be really powerful. A 5 times catch rate increase on the first turn. People are using it to try to catch alphas on turn 1, and it works a decent amount of the time. I don't know the statistics, but a decent amount. People used it to catch Shaman One of the best uses I've seen of Quick Ball was people who hadn't completed Sinnoh would go to get Shaman still, and they would throw one Quick Ball and hope that they catch it. If they didn't, they'd run away and they'd re-encounter it. So essentially, people who didn't have access to level 100 Pokemon in Sinnoh to be able to catch Shaman like consistently would just like use the Quick Ball strat over and over again. I thought that was really smart, really genius. It was a really cool way to just see if you caught it, run away, wait the couple minutes for it to respawn, throw the Quick Ball. You know, it was really cool. A lot of respect for that. Repeat Ball. Probably the best all-around Pokeball in the game. But the issue is Repeat Ball's price got raised to $1,500. And when that happened, that really opened up the economy for a lot of things. Repeat Ball used to be the best Pokeball at Ditto for quite a while until Dusk Ball's its price got raised and Dusk Ball's effect got increased. So it's really important to note, you should never, ever, ever be using Repeat Balls at Dittos. There's literally zero reason to do it. It has the exact same catch rate as Dusk Ball, but it costs, 150 Pokeyen more? So there's just no reason. There's just absolutely zero reason to use Repeat Ball at Ditto, unless maybe you got some for really cheap on the GTL, and then even then I would save those and just buy Dusk Balls for Ditto. So that's my little argument there. There's still a really fantastic ball. For those who don't know, Repeat Balls worked better when you have caught that species in the Pokedex. So if anything is logged green. Now I do believe, I could be wrong, someone could correct me, I do believe that you have to have that Pokemon caught OT for it to actually have the Repeat Ball effect. I believe that if it is just a blue OT and it's just owned, I'm not sure if Repeat Ball actually benefits from that, but I don't know. That could be something we could ask the developers about at some point if I can get an interview or some sort of intercommunication. Now, moving on to Timer Ball. Timer Ball is probably one of my favorite Pokeballs in PokeMMO. It's become really decent, really interesting, really useful. It's really good for alphas. By far the best Pokeball for alphas. If you want to be an alpha farmer, get yourself some Quick Balls, get yourself some Timer Balls, maybe some Pokeballs to spam to lower the stats if you're doing the alpha contrary spin to strat. But Timer Balls are fantastic. Timer Balls are awesome. They get up to a maximum catch rate of 4.0. Now, Timer Ball's formula is really complicated. I'll try to cover it semi-decently really quickly. We thought that for a while that Timer Ball would reach like 2.33 on turn 4, but it actually reaches it a little bit later, I believe on turn 5 or turn 6. It's also really important to note that Timer Ball doesn't reach max catch rate until turn 11, not turn 10. It was thought to be turn 10, but I think it was coded in a way that we found out that turn 1 doesn't actually count. So once you get to turn 11, that is when Timer Ball is at its maximum catch rate of 4 times, which is really, really strong for alphas. Being able to stall out, false swipe, try to spore down, just kind of stall the alpha battle until you're able to throw Timer Balls at 4 times catch rate is unbelievably powerful. Definitely grab a ton of these for alphas, and it'll be pretty freaking consistent. Timer Balls are just super great. They're super great if you're struggling to catch something. They can be really good at Dittos. The issue being you don't want to throw, like if, let's say you throw 2 Dust Balls and the Ditto breaks out of both, then you could go for Timer Ball as kind of the math. But even then, usually switching around Pokeballs within your bag is not really worth it because it's kind of a time loss to have to do that, but you can kind of do it efficiently if you're fast enough with the APM. Now, moving over to Master Ball, it's the Master Ball. It's untradeable. You only get 4 per account at the moment, 5 per account once Johto comes out. It always catches, 100% catch rate, not really much to talk about. Always save your Master Balls. This account is like 10 years old and I still have all 4 of mine. It's always really important to save them until you have to catch a shiny that is trying to kill itself or has the potential to kill itself and you weren't prepared for it. So that should cover every Pokeball in PokeMMO. Hopefully that was enjoyable. Hopefully it was helpful. It's really cool how every Pokeball is balanced in a way where usually they have a decent niche at least somewhere, which is much better than the traditional games can say in my opinion. So if this video was enjoyable or helpful or good, mildly entertaining background content while you're shiny hunting, yes, I see you. Make sure to like the video to let me know. Dislike if you didn't enjoy it. That's totally okay as well. Subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO videos. I upload 1 video every single day at 10 a.m. EST, and I also stream Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. EST. Discord link is down below for updates on all of that, all my content, and just tons of information and news about the game. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, if you've enjoyed enough hours of my content to warrant it and you can afford it, of course. You can always go above and beyond via YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal/Venmo actually help out the most. But that's it for me. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Go enjoy some PokeMMO.